Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Leadership Academy podcast. My name is AJ Willoughby, and Leadership Academy podcast is brought to you by Titan Media Works. Titan Media Works, they are the easy button for helping companies get podcasts going and figuring out the easy way. They're there to help you the whole way through. Titan Media Works with an X, WORX.com. I am super excited today to be having on the show Dennis Volpe. And, there's a lot of things that I'm reading a little bit and getting to see a little bit about him that really personally just, interest me and everything from leadership and what he brings to that and what he brings to veterans. And Dennis is He is an International Coaching Federation professional certified coach and is also a director with the Leadership Research Institute, specializing in performance, personal leadership, team effectiveness, and small business coaching. He also has experience as a naval officer, to include command at sea and a variety of intellectual pursuits there. And he is an international best-selling author of Transition on Purpose, which provides personal stories of transition, illustrated success, failure, and personal resilience. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that today as well. He is the founder of the Severn River Leadership Group, which is a veteran-owned small business committed to the development and success of military, veteran, and first responder-owned small businesses. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well, and along with the fact that he's an outdoor enthusiast, which fits into a lot of my lifestyle as well. So Dennis, it is great to have you on the show today.
Yeah, AJ, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a while.
So let's start off, and you got a very impressive bio and a lot of things that you've been involved with, and a lot of leadership things. Tell us a little bit about what it is you're actively working on right now, what you're involved with, how you're, working with people.
Sure. A little bit about me. I'm originally from New York, and now I'm a husband. Like you said, I'm an outdoor enthusiast. I'm a washed up rugby player. I'm a washed up lacrosse player. I'm a recreational triathlete at best. I'm a mindfulness practitioner. I'm a Traeger grill guy. Hopefully that's okay.
There you go. That's Traeger grill or the pit boss. I'm not sure. We've been having this debate between a number of us.
And I do drink a little bit of bourbon. I am a small business and entrepreneurial investor. I'm a veteran mentor, and like you said, I'm a partner. I'm a director with the Leadership Research Institute. I'm a professional certified leadership and small business coach, and I'm a retired military officer. And now, what do I get to do? I get to work with leaders and teams to get them refocused so they could direct their energy, attention, and effort on what really matters to them and get them to their definition of success faster. So it's all about creating clarity, so that way they can really direct their energy on what matters. So there's alignment between what they say and what they do, and then get structure in their businesses so they can have the predictability and accountability they need to get to that definition of success faster.
Yeah, there we go. So let's talk just a little bit about that first. Let's talk about, as far as working with veterans and their businesses, when you're meeting with them and start talking with those business owners, where do you usually start? Where's the conversations begin?
Almost always. I don't want to say always, almost always. It starts with two big overarching questions. The first one is, how have they defined success for their business?
Mm-hmm.
And really looking at it a little bit more, expansively, is not only how have they defined success for their business, but how have they defined success for themselves? and their life. Because as a small business owner, for all those small business owners out there, they know that as a small business owner, it is your life.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have bet on yourself and you put all the chips on the table and you said, yeah, you know what? I would have bet on me. So, being a small business owner, you are looking at it with a different lens, right? Because you're actually, the money you're betting with is your own, right? You're not betting other people's money. And so that's the first question.
I imagine a lot of the answers you get are a lot of vague, kind of the same thing of, well, to make a lot of money and be successful. I mean, how many of those people that you're talking to actually could narrow it down to the real objective of what it is before you have to start helping them do that?
Well, some have, right? Because they've actually done that deep work. And I call it the deep work that is the longest road that we all have to travel. It's the longest road, I think, on the planet. And it's probably the shortest, right? Because it's only about 18 inches, 18 feet, right? From your head to your heart.
Oh, there we go.
And connecting those two. And when you do that, when you're able to do that, you create something. You create something called clarity. Clarity of purpose, clarity of mission, clarity of action. And then it's a lot easier to focus. It's a lot easier to focus your energy, attention, and all that stuff on what really matters to you because you've done that work. Right. So that you can align everything. So there's what we say and what we do, there's, it's congruent. So that way we're engaged in the work that we do and the life that we want to lead. And so when they've done that work, the conversations flow and the conversations are relatively easy. When they haven't done that work, that's when the conversations are actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because it's work that they haven't done. And maybe it's fun for me, but it might not be fun for them, but it's fun because you can actually, when you talk about coaching, I get asked quite often, how do you gauge success? From a coaching perspective. And for me, like I said, I'm a simple kid from Long Island, right? It's the ABC. Have there been aha moments? Yes or no? Has there been behavior change? And have there actually been commitments and action? And when that happens, because coaching is about unlocking human performance. So when there are aha moments, there is behavior change and commitments and actions have happened, that's when coaching has happened. Because with commitment and action and behavior change, that's performance.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. So, all right. So you're opening up the conversations, talking about what success needs to be, and then going through all the, those implementation of those actions. Where does it usually end up? Where do you take the conversations after that? Where do things end up going?
Well, when you look at it holistically from, like a small business standpoint or any business for that matter, you have to look at it from a strategic standpoint. What are the goals? What are the objectives? What's the mission? What's the vision? Right? But also, what are the values? What are the core values of the organization? Whether it's a one man, one woman, law firm to, a couple of hundred people in a logistics company. It doesn't matter. There needs to be core values because the core values of the organization are what helps decision making. Because the culture of the organization is simply the values of the organization in action.
Yeah.
Very often, we have conversations about culture and the culture that people want for their small business. And that's a great conversation. But you actually get culture, right? And you get culture from the positive behavior that's in alignment with the values of your organization that you properly acknowledge. And you get culture from the negative behavior that's not in alignment with the values of your organization that you tolerate.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
is the alignment piece, right? Is your energy, attention, and effort, is it aligned with what you said matters to you in terms of your values, your vision, your mission, your expectation, and your priorities? And are
Mhm.
you acknowledging the behavior that is aligned with that? And then are you holding accountable the behavior that's contrary to it?
Yeah. What would you say would be one of the, most common mistakes that you're seeing a lot of, those business owners making that you step in and help them to really try and, change?
The biggest thing is trying to do it all themselves, right? Life and business is a team sport, and identifying those things that CEO, that founder, that business owner, identifying the things that only they can do because of their experience, because their expertise, or because of their position.
Mhm.
And those are the things that person ought to be doing. And then either delegate it to other people or outsource it.
Yeah.
Because what got you there, right, isn't going to get you to where you want to go. And spending the time identifying those things that only that person can do, and then identifying the people, whether it's internal or external, to do those other things is important. It's, I call it's a matter of preposition, right? Because very often, to a certain point in a small business's journey, that founder, that CEO could do everything, right? They're in the ring, they're hooking and jabbing, and they're doing everything. But if you want to literally scale and get to that next level, you can't work in the business all day long.
Yeah.
You, at some point, you have to work on the business. And the only way that you can work on the business is trusting others, delegating to others, and outsourcing where it's appropriate.
Yeah, and, I think that's a good that your very last thing you said there is knowing when to outsource, because I know a lot of business owners, they understand the idea of, "Yes, I know I need to be working on my business, but I can't really afford to be scaling any more than I already have as far as staff." Or maybe they're a one-man guy and they're trying to get to that point, and they're trying to figure that out. And so a lot of times it is a place of, okay, maybe you need to be looking at outsourcing on a, cost per sale, project basis, what it is they're doing in order for them to get to that next level to where they can start bringing someone else in, and then use that leveraging of other people's energy to, help fulfill those things that are, maybe they've got some, competencies in different aspects of building the business, but maybe it's not the strength that they have. So find someone else that has that super strength, that they love the paperwork, they love doing that, and where maybe you're really good at it, but man, it's a drainer, and someone else that loves it. So pulling all that in.
No, and I appreciate you bringing up strengths. And you probably saw me smile, get a little energized, because I'm a Gallup strengths coach.
All
So
right.
that's one of the things, or one of the tools or instruments that I leverage with every client I get the opportunity to work with, whether it's an individual or it's a team, and utilizing the Gallup Strengths Finder to identify where those areas of genius are,
Yeah.
and it breaks it down from 1 to 34. But I think the most important part, or one of the most important parts, is it also breaks it down into different domains. And when you look at it from a domain perspective, it looks at, do we have folks that are geniuses in execution, getting stuff done? Do we have
Mhm.
geniuses that are strategic thinkers? Or are they relationship builders? Or are they influencers? And all of those people have roles in a business. So you want to make sure that you know, from an awareness standpoint, what your strengths are, but also what your team members' strengths are. And then when you combine those two together, identifying the strengths of your organization and
Yeah.
also identifying, what are some blind spots? And do you need to hire for it or can you outsource for it? But the key piece to what you talked about is it's the awareness that matters, right?
Yeah.
Because when we create that awareness, it allows us to make more informed decisions about the work we do and the team we have.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of people, a lot of business owners also that get that confused, that understanding the difference between a competency, a strength, and a genius of of where they need to be working, and they get that confused with, I do this very, very well. No one else can do this better than me in my business, so that means I got to be the one because there's just no one else that can do this part. Versus what it is that enthuses them to continue with the business and to use other people in that, because I see a lot of business owners who they take on so much of it. They're not willing to let go that they should, because they don't think that others can do it as well as them, even though that's not their strength. You know?
Well, what if I told you there's actually an assessment out there that looks at exactly what you just talked about? And it's called the 6 Working Geniuses. And it looks at the work cycle, breaks the work cycle up into 3 stages. The ideation stage, the activation stage, and the implementation stage. And it has 2 different geniuses in each stage. And what the assessment does is it looks at what is your area of genius, what is your area of competency, and what is your area of frustration or areas. So they identify 2 geniuses in each category. So there's 2 working geniuses, there's 2 competencies, and there's 2 frustrations. And it's not a rating of how well do you do something, but it's a ranking of preference. What stage of the work cycle do you actually get engagement, fulfillment, and joy? And what frustrates you? And then what are you actually competent in? And competency is all about, it's something that I'm good at because I've done it and I've gotten good at it, but I don't get any fulfillment or joy from it.
Yeah.
And, the key piece about, our working competencies, the stuff that we're really good at because we've done it over time, but we don't get fulfillment and joy from it. That's what leads to burnout.
Yeah.
That's what leads to exhaustion. So knowing where you need to be in the work cycle, do you need to be in the ideation stage? Are you that strategic thinker, going back to that, the strength fighter? Are you in that wonder phase or that invention phase? Are you asking the big ideas or the big questions? And are you providing those solutions? Or, are you a little bit lower at altitude? And are you in the activation phase where it's about discernment and galvanizing, asking questions about those big ideas and those different, ways of doing things? Or are you going to be that person that is going to rally the troops around that idea to move things forward faster? Or are you actually a little closer to the ground, right? Where you're an enabler, or you've got the tenacity to bring things over the goal line. So I think there are tools out there that'll help you understand first your strengths and your areas of genius, and then also an assessment out there that is super helpful because it lets you see where you need to inject yourself as well as your team members into the work cycle.
Yeah, and when you have your team working in those geniuses, and each one of them to where where each person can complement each other, and even if that means reworking a little bit of people's responsibilities to make sure that they're doing that, I think that's where you see your team and your staff really take ownership of everything about the company, and you can see it go to a whole nother level.
100%, AJ. And then there's engagement in terms of, Gallup. The Gallup organization actually looks at engagement, and they've identified, through their research, that if folks get to work in their areas of genius, they're 6 times more engaged in the work that they do. Imagine that, right? 6 times the engagement, because we're actually leveraging the strengths and abilities and genius of people, so that way we can get the results that we want to get.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so I could get going on a lot of this stuff with you. I think we could go a long time on a lot of this stuff here. I want to talk transition just a little bit to Transition on Purpose,
Sure.
which is the book that you wrote.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about this book, Transition on Purpose, what it's about, who it's written for, and what people can get out of the book.
Sure. Well, who's it written for? Transition on Purpose is absolutely a personal story. It's a personal journey, but it's not a unique journey. So the book is for anyone who is in career or life transition, who is searching for or trying to find their identity, find their sense of purpose, and identify purposeful work for them. So that's who it's for. What's the story? Well, it's my story. And that's why it's a personal story. And it's a story about success. It's a story about failure. And it's a story about resilience. The success part was my naval career. Got to do a lot of cool things with a lot of amazing people, and ultimately got to be a ship captain, a commanding officer of a guided missile frigate. And when I was in command, we got some tasking while we were in a deployed status to do a national tasking mission in support of the 2014 Sochi Olympics off the Sochi coast to provide maritime presence and maritime security. And while we were there, we had to check off station to sail across the Black Sea to get some gas and groceries. And as we were entering port, we had an operational mishap. We ran aground and we broke the propeller. And we were deemed non-mission capable in a time of heightened tensions in the Black Sea.
Oh, wow.
So I was a ship captain who failed his mission. And rightly so, right? As a ship captain, you are absolutely responsible and absolutely accountable for the actions and the inactions of your team. Yeah. Good, bad, or indifferent. And the result was I got fired 2 weeks after that. And rightly so, right? Because I was responsible and accountable. What I never saw coming was like the 2-year odyssey, the 2-year journey of trying to figure out whether I was going to stay in the Navy, whether I was going to get kicked out of the Navy or whatever. And it went on for 2 years, a long, long time. And the result was it tested me.
Yeah.
It tested my identity. It tested my inner self. It tested my sense of purpose, my understanding of me. And so because as a ship captain, you're on top of the world, right? And when you get the opportunity for a national tasking mission, you're really on top of the world, because what you get to do is getting briefed to the highest levels of our military and civilian chain of command.
Yeah.
And then when something goes sideways, you're in the deepest, darkest valley
yeah.
that you can be personally and professionally.
Oh, yeah.
So there's the success, there's the failure, and where did the resilience come from? Well, the resilience came from, it didn't really come from me. It actually came from the people around me. The people around me, everything from my wife to my dog to my friends, you name it. Those were the ones who really provided me with the strength and fortitude that I needed to be not only my best self, but my better self.
Right.
And I took the opportunity. Where did the book come from? I had a lot of friends that said, "You've got a story.
Yeah.
You've got a story that you need to share." And I think, AJ, I just got tired of people telling me I've got a story that I have. So I wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
And I wrote a book about it because, like I said, it's a personal story, but it's not a unique story. There's a lot of folks that, not because of, right? Because change is constant.
Right.
Change is one of the few facts of life. Transition, on the other hand, is not a fact. It's a choice. It's a choice that we get to make. And we ought to make a well-informed choice based on what we value and what matters to us. And it's funny, because you asked me what's one of the questions that I ask a small business owner. How do you define success?
Yeah.
That's the same question I ask when I get the opportunity to work with veterans in transition, mid-level professionals in transition. How would you define success? And then there's a requirement, and I use that word on purpose. There's a requirement for us to do some self-reflection, because that self-reflection, again, creates awareness. And when we have awareness, that's when we gain clarity.
Right.
And when we can gain clarity, that's when we can really get focus and have intentional action that makes sense for us.
Yeah. 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 That's good. So Dennis, leave us with this, and that is, if you were starting over as a business owner or in business, the things that you have learned all along the way that you wish that you knew in the very beginning, what would that piece of advice be that you would give to someone starting out, someone that's in leadership? Maybe they're trying to get things going. Maybe they've hit a plateau, or what's the best piece of advice that you have that you wish that you would have known before you started everything?
I had a conversation earlier today about this sort of thing. And I think the biggest thing, I think there's more than one, but I think the biggest one is, don't be afraid to fail. And actually fail early.
Yeah.
But in order to fail, you got to understand that this whole personal leadership thing is not an abstract concept. I mean, it's all about awareness. I think back to my days as a plebe at the Naval Academy, sitting in leadership class. And, a really simple concept that actually turns out to be really complicated was, if you want to be successful, know yourself, know your people, and know your job.
Yeah.
Seems simple, but then when you take a step back and think about all of the stuff that's involved with knowing yourself, with knowing your people, and knowing your job, there's a lot to it.
Oh, yeah.
But a really, really easy way to be successful in work and in life is to be a good human.
Yeah. Absolutely. There you go. Well, we have been talking with Dennis Volpe, and I'll tell you, this conversation for me could go on and on and on. I'm really enjoying the wisdom and the knowledge and the experience and the things that you have to offer us on this show, Dennis. I really appreciate you coming on the show. And tell me, everyone, if they want to get first, as far as the book, like the book again is called Transition on Purpose. Where would they go to get a copy of the book?
So they can go on Amazon, and they can get it on Amazon. And one of the things about my book, because of my transition experience, all of the proceeds from my book go to two different organizations. One is Camp Resilience up here in New Hampshire, which helps veterans and first responders bounce back in mind, body, and spirit, and leverages the outdoors of the Lakes region of New Hampshire. And it also goes to Camp Southern Ground, which is in Peachtree City, or outside of Peachtree City down in Georgia, because I had the opportunity to go through both of their programs, Warrior Week and Warrior Path, to help me or to support my transition. So you can get it on Amazon, and all of the proceeds are going to go back to military veteran transition programs.
Awesome. And then as far as you're working with the Leadership Research Institute. If people wanted to get in touch with you, get in touch with Leadership Research Institute, how would they go about doing that?
Sure. A really quick way is to find me on LinkedIn. And I know that my LinkedIn profile will be in the show notes and all that stuff. Or my email address is really simple. It's Dennis, DENNIS .Volpe, VOLPE @LRI.com.
There we go. All right. Well, Dennis, thank you again for being part of the show today. It's been very inspiring. A lot of great advice and wisdom and information that we've gotten from it. Again, for those that are listening to the show's brought to you by Titan Media Works. Works with an X. They are the easy button for podcasting for the business community, learning how to take podcasts and transition it into a business model for your company. You're looking to know how to do that and want to get past the learning curve. They make it simple. They basically do the work for you. You basically show up, push a button, and there you go. And just like they're doing for me. TitanMediaWorks.com, WORX.com is the name of the company. This has been another episode of the Leadership Academy podcast. My name is AJ Willoughby. Until next time, you all have a great rest of the day.